All right. We appreciate you being here with us tonight. I started to say I'm Brett and he's David, but that would be on a bad night because I knew a guy in Birmingham, Brett, that read the script and he said, "Hi, I'm Janet Hall," and it was not him. Really tall guy. I think you know who he is. He just retired
Oh
again for
yeah.
like the fifth time, and he
Oh
looked
yeah.
up in the camera and he says, "Hey, everybody, I'm Janet Hall." And that's how this all happened. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well out there tonight. Brett Adair and I are manning the microphones tonight on what looks to be a severe weather middle of the week. Brett, this is going to be something that we've been following now for a while. It looks like it's really going to materialize here in the long run. And I know you're just now getting over that croup or whatever the world you had. Was it dengue fever? I don't really know. It was bad.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Flu, croup, RSV, pneumonia. I don't know what it was. Finally went, got some antibiotics, got shots, and all that good stuff, and I can kind of talk again. So, just trying to get back in the saddle as it looks like we're right on time here for as we get into the fall, late fall, early winter season. This kind of typical severe weather type event that we're going to be dealing with. Unfortunately, typical means tornadoes usually here in the mid south and the deep south, and it looks like that's what we're about to deal with by midweek.
Yeah, this is one of those situations that now we've got sort of the wintertime scenario playing out here to where, things are really different when it comes to the analysis of a situation, when it comes to what you have as far as the ingredients going along here. And really looked like this thing. I guess the only thing that has sort of varied a little bit was timing here in some of the models. And still, there's a little bit here, and there's a 6-hour window that kind of goes either way, I suppose. But right now, the risk is an enhanced risk that runs the length of the Mississippi River from just outside of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, southward all the way down through that area. I know you're very familiar with this area because I have talked to you many times on a chase there just to the west. In fact, you and I went on a big-time chase there, not too far away from there in Earl, Arkansas one time. I do remember that, and I screwed everything up that time too. Technically, I
Yeah, that
did.
was
When I
the
started looking at it, Brett, you have been successful despite of me because I've
I
almost ruined
wouldn't
you a couple of times. Technically,
I wouldn't say that.
well, that's pretty bad.
I mean, we had a cable that got disconnected and basically caused us to not stream out a huge tornado, but it happens, and it's happened more than once. But hey, at least we captured it in focus. I have seen some people who've bumped the autofocus on some of those situations and not captured it at all. So, it didn't get streamed out, but whatever. Honestly, looks like we got another opportunity, kind of the same area. The thing that's capturing my attention is this is really typical for this time of the year. Again, we were doing this around the same time last year, a little later, another week or so into December. We had the big Mayfield tornado event, started in Arkansas, and then, went up through the mid South, up into the Paducah region up there. So, um, there's still some variability with the parameter space right now. The thing that's caught my attention quite a bit, we got a little bit of a couple jet structure, which is indicative of very extreme synoptic scale energy coming into play here. And as you can see, it's widespread instability coming into the picture here too. And as we go into November and December, it doesn't really take that much. Across the deep south, 500 to 750 joules of instability can get the job
Yeah.
done in terms of a violent tornado. So we don't have to have a ton of energy, and we're showing some numbers that are beginning to sound some alarms.
Yeah, and as it goes on eastward, the sort of the other problem with this is timing. I mean, look, that's midnight. That's the midnight hour there on Tuesday night, early on Wednesday morning when it comes on through. And even though they're daytime, they're dangerous enough, but it's tripled, quadrupled when it's at night like that, and you can't see your hand in front of your face. Even for you guys who are out there, who are trying to watch out for this, analyzing the storms. It makes your job twice as hard as well. I know. So, what is it you'd like to look at? I kind of got everything here with Radar Omega. Again, they're what we're using here tonight. We're using Radar Omega and going to be doing that. They got some new stuff happening there, by the way. They're working on it at the moment, and Brett and I are glad to be, learning as we go along what's happening here with that product, with that application, as well as some of the others. But Brett, we got Cape up here right now, and we can move that along. This is going to be the midnight hour, but some of this is going to happen well before across Louisiana and maybe even up into southern sections of Arkansas. As it goes on to the east, I was wondering this too, and you and I talked about this just a little bit. There really wasn't, and I don't know if they fixed that yet, but they went from having an enhanced risk to nada early on Wednesday morning, which kind of seems a little bit too quickly here. Something's got to happen for West Alabama, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know that we're not going to see anything in regards to that until later tonight when the new day 2 comes out. But I would imagine, well, the day 3 for Alabama.
Yeah.
I would imagine that's going to get shifted at least a little bit further to the east. It's not just like you're going to have a complete cutoff of activity. You've got still you got a decent instability tongue there going into the morning hours. I would say the threat's at least going to live there, between Interstate 55 and I-65 across, central Mississippi all the way over into central Alabama. Once those storms get going, it doesn't look like the atmosphere is going to decouple. So typically we see those systems sometimes see the atmosphere cool off. And we've got such high moisture, profiles in the atmosphere. And with all that wind energy coming through the area, I don't see that really happening. All the way up into the Tennessee Valley region even could have problems. So we're going to be watching for that piece of information as we go forward in time, and maybe even all the way across Alabama. There's a little bit of instability the whole time there, and that's the GFS, mind you. And in these cool season events, sometimes these synoptic type models, they have a cool season bias where they don't project quite enough instability. So if that's the case, that's an even scarier type of facet. And the NAM has been showing pretty ample instability as well. The one thing that's got my attention is the length of time that these parameters overlap.
Yeah.
There's quite a period there, really starting across portions of Louisiana by late in the afternoon on Tuesday and going through the overnight. We got a period of 12 hours where we have favorable space for supercells, long trackers, tornadoes. It's just it's quite the surge right there that you can see. Those purples, those are 70-degree dew points that surge up across Louisiana. And they eventually pinch down, but you've still got 60-degree dew points all the way to the Tennessee border as the front sweeps through on Wednesday morning.
The other thing I noticed about that, too, was that there's a lot of rain projected here, especially up into the Tennessee Valley. I mean, that might be one of the bigger threats. I saw one of the QPFs there in Chattanooga or up there along the mountain. Anyway, Lookout Mountain was almost like 3 inches, and that was a pretty good consensus between the NAM, the GFS, and really everything else at that point. The ND, FD, the kind of a composite, I guess, if you will, of everything there. So heavy rainfall is there as well, and I know there's some. Well, Jackson, I think, put out something about that as well, about some of the heavier rain down there in southern Mississippi.
Yeah, I saw some of that information as well, and that's something that's going to be a factor going into Tuesday and Wednesday. So we got to keep an eye out for all those things. I think that the greatest potential right now, though, as it stands, that we're going to be looking for, especially along that Interstate 20 corridor west of Jackson and then up I-55 up into northern Mississippi, and that Mississippi Delta region in particular, as we go into later Tuesday into Tuesday night. That potential for those supercellular type thunderstorms. One thing that I've noticed is there's kind of a glancing blow with the forcing. We don't just see a whole boatload of height falls coming across the area. So that has me believing that we're not going to see squall line evolution rapidly with this too. So I'm quite concerned about cellular elements here. Just these glancing blows typically cause the more supercellular type structures. So again, we've been talking about this internally here for a couple of days, and the Storm Prediction Center has been hitting on this pretty hard for the last 3 or 4, which is atypical given that we're that far out to have such a risk area. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, given that we're continuing to see the parameter space run to run. I would not be surprised to see a moderate risk come out possibly as early as tonight.
Yeah, as early as tonight. Talk about this if you don't mind, and it'll give me a second to look for something here. But so our region, our enhanced region here. So what does that in particular say to you that they went enhanced this far out in advance, and and then it tapers off back to the west.
Well, there's a couple of things. One, don't be surprised to see this get adjusted some. I could see this get adjusted a little bit westward, northward, southward, and eastward. To be honest, I expect an expansion. That would not surprise me at all. And we actually have a bigger problem. I don't know if you have this introduced in any of the graphics, but there's an issue that we would really like to get this out of Little Rock's area. Um, Little Rock is dealing with a radar problem right now. They have a pedestal that has failed on the radar, which is a very major component so that we can get all levels of the atmosphere scanned when you get a radar image that comes in. And there's been problems with it for a while, so it's been put off and put off. This is about a 2 week fix that is scheduled to
Really?
begin tomorrow. So the radar will be down in Little Rock for this event. And there's not much they can do about it. They're concerned that if the radar stays online and it breaks physically during the event, we could deal with an even more extended period of time and more damage to the radar itself because the pedestal is not a minor part. They have to take the radome completely off the pedestal. This is a big issue. So the radar, unless something's changed, the radar will be down from the Weather Service in Little Rock. So this is a big issue. I would really like to see the risk get pushed out of the area, but trust me, Mother Nature does not care if we have the tools that we need to try to get the warning out. So this is going to be very important if we get those storms do form across portions of central Arkansas and go tornadic. That we've got some other radars. We've got Fort Smith. We've got Memphis. But this is where your storm spotters are going to be very important going forward too. If this comes to pass.
As far as areas like Memphis is probably one of those places in sort of a hot corner there, and does it go all the way up to St. Louis? I mean, we're right on the edge there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the slight I think bumps up near St. Louis now, and that's again expansion is quite possible with the thermodynamics that we're dealing with in this situation. So I would not be surprised to even see that extend, maybe even up toward Indianapolis there by the time all is said and done. These systems in the winter are usually much more dynamic, and by the time they come out, they're more widespread. So I expect a pretty large area of concern. Maybe, again, you're going to have a bullseye there that's going to take it on the chin. And that enhanced risk area right now, unfortunately, looks to be pretty close, at least by parameters based on the modeling that we've got. So again, we're getting ready now to deploy and put ourselves in the line of fire there, somewhere across the Mississippi Delta region, somewhere between I-20 and I-40. Really looks to be that area of concern.
Is that where you're? I mean, that's your plan right now as you're headed in that general direction.
Yeah, right now, I plan to head more toward the Memphis Tunica area tonight. We're working to get some equipment installed on a vehicle, hopefully, that will help us with connectivity and help us with, being able to bring more information to everybody at home as these storms get going there. But I'm going to be watching very, very carefully when it comes to the exact track and path of this system over the next couple of days, because it is just now getting to the upper air network, and we're getting more and more data as we go in time now.
All right, let's take a look at some of the stuff I put together. I didn't put a long show together here. In fact, Brett's going to be going here pretty quickly, as well as myself, because I got so much stuff to do. I'm so packed up, which means I got to feed Penny is basically kind of it. But if you look at the big picture here, I took some satellite images through the day today. I just love these. I love the ones that when you get the sun off from the western side, you get that little shadow comes in, but you can see a storm moving off the Atlantic. You can see the big cyclone that we got moving across the northeastern United States. This is a warm air event for those places up there that had snow a couple of days ago. Little sandwich look here that shows us that we did have some development. The orangey colors that you see shows convection. Really in sort of an infrared sort of way. But you already see back to the west some of the moisture that'll be gathering. Now, into the deep south today, it was a pretty nice day overall. We had some cloud cover here and there across northern sections of Alabama and Mississippi. And we got a lot of sunshine down to the south there as well, Brett. And that's going to be breaking up a little bit here as we move along into the forecast period through the overnight hours tomorrow night. But there's what it looks like at the present. Moving on across, as I said, from the west to the east with that low pressure up into Ohio now and dragging the cold front. I thought this was kind of cool. Watch the pivot of those poor people up there in northern Canada and Alaska that aren't any sunshine at all. I mean, that's just a horrible sort of a seesaw sort of thing happening there. But there's your storm coming in from the Pacific Northwest, diving southward into the Colorado Rockies, and that's what we'll be dealing with as we go along and through this forecast. And now I think we're going to get into the meat of things. This is where your risk is, the enhanced there into the little orangey areas. North of I-20, basically, and along the Mississippi River. Slight down to the south along I-10, I-59 over to Houston, throughout the rest of that area there as well. And your little cold front that'll be wrapping on southward and moving on through the rest of the region. Typical setup, Brad. I know this actually coincides with climatologically speaking. It's not that long of a period. I think it's only about 20 years or so, but it's on the SPC site. It says, climatologically speaking, if there is going to be a tornado within 25 miles of anywhere, it's almost this bullseye. Did you notice that today?
Yeah, this area, I mean, again, this is kind of, if you think about fall and winter outbreaks across the South, you're thinking Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. So, I mean, this is not something that's out of the ordinary per se.
Right.
What's concerning though is just the setup to me has an outbreak look. And I'm not talking one or two tornadoes. I'm talking 10 or 20 tornadoes or more. If the instability profiles and the convection holds off in that warm sector, as long as we don't get a messy warm sector, it looks like we could deal with a long evening into an overnight period. And, you know, again, it's unfortunate that it seems like every time we go in through a holiday period here in the winter time, we deal with this type of setup. And, you know, we just dealt with something earlier in November here across Northeast Texas. And I said at that point in time, it was a little atypical for it to be that far to the west. It's typically a little bit further east. Well, we're getting now more of that classic look. And as we go in time, you can see the dew points there going to continue to rise. And they, you know, by the afternoon, you're getting dew points in the upper 60s, low 70s there across portions of East Texas, Louisiana, Western Mississippi. And that's just juice. I mean, and those are not going to go away. And you can see they're still holding steady there at midnight. So until that cold front really blasts through, you know, later in the day on Wednesday across Alabama, you got a threat of severe weather with that type of moisture in place.
Yeah, I think so too. I truly do. And then you can sort of bisect the state there along I-59 if you wanted to, 2059 from north to south all the way to Hattiesburg, really, where at least the way the front is shaped and the orientation is through Wednesday noon as it passes on by. Again, the purples indicating the 70-degree dew points. Forecasted model data again suggests that the low kind of dips down, and by early on Tuesday morning it's sitting there over eastern sections of Nebraska and then rides its way off to the north end of the east, setting up this likelihood here, which Brett said could be moderate as we move along. Does it matter? No, the whole moderate enhanced thing that everybody gets excited about. I mean, if it does go moderate, there's going to be 50,000 Twitters that say, it's moderate. That doesn't mean a hill of beans. It still is what it is. And oftentimes you'll get, similar situations. Surface map today shows you the 996, or 992 actually, was the lowest until it includes there the frontal boundary does. But here comes your secondary one, already gaining a little bit of moisture with it there into the Texas Panhandle, sliding on southward, eastward across the rest of the region too. And just, Brett, these are some of the National Weather Service offices and what they're talking about. This one comes out of Jackson, Mississippi. I got to get rid of my big noggin here so people can see that. But uh, they're kind of. I didn't talk to our young man over there, Logan, today, but I'm sure he's kind of hopping.
Yeah, they're different. Out the graphics today, and not surprised by what we're seeing tonight. Again, as you mentioned, it's not so much about the risk type or the category at this point. Really and truly,
Yeah.
the wording and the verbiage is what people need to pay attention to. I mean, the day three, we're talking about tornado outbreak verbiage being used in these Outlook discussions. So that's something you pay attention to. And again, we have another we have another issue with this system where we some of our equipment that we rely on to get some of this information out is not properly functioning. So the messaging needs to be a little bit stronger right now, especially for those people across the Little Rock metro area that rely on that local radar. So again, we're going to go ahead and get prepared to head out and get in position for the system somewhere across the Mississippi Delta vicinity tonight, and then we'll make adjustments, tomorrow night into early Tuesday. I think we still have plenty of time. I think really and truly the go time is going to be after the noontime hour, maybe even the 3 o'clock hour on Tuesday to get started. But I think the main event may come after dark, unfortunately.
Kind of looks that way, doesn't it? That'd be really, really sad. Well, tomorrow night is Monday, so we'll be into the first of the week, and Brett will be traveling early in the day, but we'll try to get back with you through the afternoon, maybe with a short or something. And I don't know, Brett, I'll probably do something tomorrow night anyway, and if you can join us, you can. If you can't, I understand. But then through Tuesday, into Tuesday evening and Wednesday, we'll have a lot of coverage here for you right here on the LSM channel here, so we hope that you'll plan to be with us. We're talking about no-nonsense weather. There's no hype here. We're going to be showing you what we see and talking about that as we move along through the period and make our way into the middle of the week before this thing passes on by. It might even last again, like we were just talking about, into the early part of the day in Alabama on Wednesday before it could be over with and move into a much more stable atmosphere. So, Brent, anything else? Any more final words here?
We're just going to hit the road. We'll be on the road tonight, going to the Delta. We're going to work on trying to get some new equipment installed. We hope tomorrow during the early portion of the day that could help us, with the video and those type of things and communications during the event. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow. That will probably be a bigger determining factor as to whether or not I'm here tomorrow night. But we're going to work on getting that done because it's imperative, and that's the most important thing to get completed before we go into Tuesday with severe weather, pending.
Well, it's good to, first of all, just see you back up again, to know that you're going to be okay now. You are going to be okay now, right?
I hope so. I will tell you, it's no joke, guys. I wish I had gotten that flu shot earlier this year. I will say that. I probably won't neglect that one next year. But yeah, it feels good to breathe again. So
yeah. Good deal. All right. Thank you so much. We're LSM is Brett's company he's had for many, many years. We're doing a little bit of TV now to go along with it. He's been doing TV all along, but he's let me come in and sort of help with this, the hosting part of this, so we can give you a lot of different facets of what's going on, especially during the bad weather. So we appreciate you being here. And again, I think we're just now getting into the meat of what we were planning to do. We've had some technical difficulties along, but that was all about really terrain and where we were and that kind of thing. And I think we got that figured out, and you're going to just get a lot more video. Visually, you're going to see a whole lot more in the weeks to come. Is that a true statement, Brett? Surely it is.
I'm sure it is. I mean, there's going to be hiccups, but we're definitely getting there with some technology that's going to help. It's like I said, just give us a little bit longer. We were hoping to have everything in by the spring, but it looks like we're actually going to get things going a lot earlier than that.
All right, it's 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 into the east, and 6:30 out to the west. I'm David Neal, Brett Adair with you as well, and we appreciate you being with us. We hope you'll join us again in the next couple of, days, specifically as things begin to change, and we'll check back in with you tomorrow. Brett, wave at the camera in 3.